Hey everyone! Today we're going to be making this beautiful giant paper sunflower tutorial. The supplies you're going to need for this project is 65-pound cardstock, you'll need a glue gun, you'll need a wood dowel or a pencil for curling your petals, you'll need scissors to cut this out with or a cutting machine, and of course you'll need my sunflower templates, which are linked for you below in this video description. Just click on show more or the arrow to the right if you're on mobile and it will reveal the information for you. Links to my supplies and my templates and everything can be found below, so be sure to check that out if you're looking for a specific resource. Before you watch this tutorial, please like this video. It helps me out more than you know. And if you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of my new content or the freebies that I love to share with my community. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be making this beautiful giant paper sunflower today. And I'm using 4 petal sizes for this tutorial. There's an extra large, large, medium, and small. If you would like to downsize this flower so that it is a large or a medium, you can subtract the use of the extra large petal to downsize to the large and just use the large, the medium, and the small. Likewise, you can also subtract the extra large and the large petal to just use the medium and the small for small sunflowers. You can still create 3 to 4 layers to keep the flower full, but just use 2 or 3 of the smaller petal sizes for an overall smaller flower. And I'll show you what that looks like at the end. But this is going to be an extra large sunflower and we're going to be making the full version. So you will need 10 of each petal in each petal size, the extra large, large, medium, and small. You'll also need 1 10-sided Petal Perfect base that comes with these templates. And then for the centerpiece, you will see in your templates it is a fringe center that looks like this, and you will need between 25 and 35 of these. Now I give that a range because some people like an extra full center for their sunflower, some people might be okay with a smaller one. So if you're okay with the smaller side, on the smaller side of the center, then you can get away with like 25 of them. If you're wanting it to be fuller, then you're definitely going to want to be more towards 35 or even a couple beyond that. This is 35 of them here. So that's what that looks like if you're wanting a very similar look to your flower. And they do take a bit of time to cut out even on your machine. So just, you know, have maybe a couple mats on hand that you can just change out real quickly as you're changing your paper and removing them from another mat. That way the process goes a little faster for you. So we're going to get started with building the base, of course, of the sunflower first, and then we'll move on to the center. I've already prepped my petals here, all except for one, and I'm going to show you how to prep all of your petals. You're going to prep them all exactly the same way. I start with cutting about a 2-inch slit at the bottom of the petal. It doesn't have to be exactly 2 inches, just an approximation is fine. I do the same thing for all the petals except for the smallest one, and I only cut about 1 inch deep on the smallest one. Again, an approximation is fine, it doesn't have to be exact. Once I've cut that slit, I add just a little bit of hot glue to one side and then slightly overlap your petal just like this. You can leave your petal uncurled if you want. It works rather well that way for a sunflower. If you want a slight curl to it, you can use like a pen or a thin wood dowel and just slightly curl the tip of the flower back. That's what I'm doing for mine. It's just a very slight curl, but you can do it without the curl as well. I've done it both ways and it works fine. So I have prepped all of my petals exactly the same way. Once you get your petals prepped, then it'll be time to start assembling the flower together. This is a 10-sided Petal Perfect base that comes with this template, and each side of this base represents where we are going to place one of the petals. These are very handy, especially for beginners, and it helps you keep an even pattern to your petals as you're putting them together and building the flower. It just helps keep the petal symmetrical and even to each other. So we're going to start, of course, with the extra large petals first. And I'm going to start by adding just a little bit of glue to the bottom back side, and then we're going to place it onto the base. When you place it onto the base, you want to bring it about 1 inch in, 3/4 to 1 inch in. It doesn't have to be exact. Again, I'm just giving you some reference there so you're aware of what that looks like. And then I'm going to continue going around, placing 1 petal per side of the 10-sided base. You'll want to overlap it at about a 30, maybe 45-degree angle or so. It's not going to be as much of a steep angle as some of my other flowers because there are 10 petals per layer here, as opposed to the 6 to 8 that we typically use in my other designs. For any reason you feel like your petal didn't go down at the exact right angle that you want, just gently lift it up and place it back down again with some fresh glue. I do that all the time. Sometimes it's hard to tell, even with these bases, how you're placing your petals until you start to get more of them on, and then you realize you might need to adjust an angle or something, and it's totally okay to lift that petal up gently and just reposition it. These sunflowers are really beautiful, and they're not at all hard to make. I'd say that the biggest challenge with them is just the patience of letting all the petals and the centerpieces get cut out. And you can of course cut these by hand if you want. I imagine most of you are probably using a cutting machine because of the centerpiece there. But I do include printable PDFs for everything. Getting down to my last two here for my extra large petal. When I get down to the very last one, this one's pretty wide here, so I really don't need to do anything here. But if yours came together tighter for any reason, you can always sort of lift the starter petal up just a little bit to tuck it underneath so it looks a little more seamless. I have plenty of space in mine here, so I don't really need to do that. So I'm just going to tuck it sort of on that one side there. And then this is a good example of, I feel like this has too much awkward space over here, so I'm going to make a little bit of an adjustment with my petals. I'm going to actually pick this one up. And I'm going to make it go a little bit more that direction. And this petal I started with, I feel like I made it too close to the other petals, so I'm going to lift it up gently and then just even out the angle a little bit there. You can even do that, I might do it with this one as well. I'm showing you guys this because I've been doing this for 10 years and petal angles still drive me nuts. You can't always get it perfect on the first go. So, especially when you're dealing with a lot of petals like these, 10 petals per layer. So don't be afraid to gently lift up and then glue back down. As you can see, it doesn't hurt the flower and you are going to be much more happy with the evenness of your petals. Okay, so there we go. We have all of our extra large petals added on now. And now I'm going to add in my large. I'm going to repeat the same process of adding glue to the bottom back side and then placing it down in the center. And what I do here is I aim for just this petal to fall in between two of the extra large petals below it. And you want to have it just come slightly further in than where the extra large petal stops in the center. So just maybe by like a 1/4 inch further in. Because these petals are already smaller, so you don't have to bring it in too much further. Usually after you get that first layer done, the petal angles go in a lot easier because you're able to use the previous layer as a guide for where you want your petals to fall. And I'm just making sure that each one of these falls approximately in between the extra large petals below it. I made a sunflower tutorial about 6 years ago. And I did a little bit of a different petal shape, a little bit, definitely a different center. I did like a large rosette center for it, a rolled center. But I wanted to come up with a more detailed center and something that really captured a more realistic nature of a large sunflower. Right. Running out of glue here. So there we go. Now I'm down to my last petal here. I have 10 extra large and 10 large. I'm just gonna slightly lift up the starting side of that first petal and add my glue on. That way when I place this in, I can tuck it so it looks more seamless. There we go. Extra large and large petals are done for our sunflower. And now we're gonna move on to the medium. Following suit exactly the same way, with placing the medium petals so they fall in between the large petals below it. And you can bring it in about ½ an inch closer to the center or so. I almost never measure when it comes to anything like that. I just do what looks best to my eye, but I'm just giving you guys sort of an approximation reference in case you're needing more detailed help on that. Okay, down to my last two here. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with the last layer. I'm just going to slightly lift up this one side so I can tuck it and it looks seamless. Just like that. There we go. All right. And finally, the small petals, and then we'll move on to making the center. You can see the flower comes together quite quickly and easily. It's really the process of cutting the petals that are going to take you probably the longest, but the building of the flower, once the petals are prepped and ready to go, is not at all hard or long. My husband and daughter told me that this sunflower petal looks like the sun shape in the Disney movie Tangled. And that didn't even like occur to me at the time of making the petal in my graphic software, but it kind of does actually. So I think it could make a really good flower for like a Tangled birthday party. And if you can, lift that starting side up just a little bit from that first petal and tuck it underneath like that. If you have to, you can add a little more glue. Push that down. There we go. All of our petals are now added in for our sunflower, and now we just need to work on building our center. So you can just set this aside for now. And now we're going to work on our centerpiece. So I'm using brown here, and then I'm also using some like deep gold yellow for the outer edges, because a sunflower in nature typically has a darker center and then it sort of fades out into the yellow color as it gets towards the petals. But you can do this in all brown, or if you prefer black or whatever color you'd like for your center. So this is just the one I'm doing. If you're loving any of these resources, like this metallic paper you're seeing here, you can visit the links below this video. I have resources for everything below this video for you. And of course you can download these templates below the video as well. I'm going to start with my brown here. And to get started, you're literally just going to fold one end in and just start rolling it. You only need to roll it like 2 times and then add your first bit of glue to hold it if you don't want that center coming undone. Roll it another 2 or 3 times, and then you can start adding swipes of glue that are about 1 inch or 2 long, and then roll it. Once you get a few rolls down, it can be helpful to hold it between your index and your thumb, and it'll roll a lot faster for you that way. Just remember to add glue every 4 or 5 turns so that nothing ends up coming apart on you. Okay, there's our first piece, and we're literally just going to continue the roll until we've used all of these pieces. It's good to always start where your last piece left off so everything stays even for you. So I'm gonna start right where that last piece left off and add this one right on top of it. And continue to roll. Try and resist the urge to want to fluff this out. We do that at the very end. I know sometimes like when I'm doing it, I'm like so eager to get it all fluffed out like this center is, but don't do that until the very, very end, or else it won't roll together very well. This is the most time-consuming part of making this flower, but if you're really wanting that true-to-life sunflower center look, this is the best approach. I'm going to link my other sunflower tutorial below if you're interested in learning how to do a rolled rosette approach. It is faster, so if you'd like to try that approach instead, I'm also going to link how that's done below the video. So I'm going to speed this up just a little bit so that you can sort of see the end process more, because at this point you get the idea. I'm going to speed it up to where I'm more towards the end of all of my brown layers here. And then we'll start adding on the gold layers, or if you prefer to do all brown and then maybe some black on the edges, or just all brown together, then that's fine. Okay, so our center's grown quite a bit. I just have one more to add on here. And then we're going to sort of fluff it out, and fluffing it out will help it grow by about, I'd say about 20% or so. And you don't have to do the gold, like I said. I just sort of looked at sunflowers in nature, and they oftentimes have some sort of yellow edging to where the center starts. So now that we have that, we're going to start fluffing this out, and you just basically want to take your thumb and fan out all those little pieces. You want to be gentle, but you can be pretty firm. And work even at the center. I know it doesn't look like a lot's going to happen at the center, but it actually makes a difference with these outer areas. Okay, there we go. So now it's nice and fluffed out. Looks a lot more full, as the center should. And of course, we'll just glue it right into the center there, and your sunflower is now complete. When you glue it in, you can just be really generous with the glue right along the bottom there, or you can even just drop glue directly down in. I'm just gonna add a bunch of glue right like that. And place it up. There we go. We finished our paper sunflower tutorial. So what I want to show you here is, this is our extra large sunflower that we just finished making. But if you wanted to downsize the sunflower, you could subtract the use of the extra large petal to downsize to a large. You can see here I used the large, medium, and small petal. I created an overall smaller flower, still beautiful. If you still wanted to have the 4 petal layers like we do here, you could add an extra layer of the large petals, so just double up on the large. It'll still create an overall smaller flower because you'll be using a smaller base and smaller petals, but it will still keep the flower full and beautiful. So that's an easy way to downsize from an extra large to a large. You can also follow suit with a medium if you'd like. So that's super simple to downsize these flowers if you're looking to create a variety of sizes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you're loving these paper butterflies here, I use glitter heat transfer vinyl and cardstock to create these. I'm going to link the tutorial for these below in the video description if you're interested in learning how to make them for yourself. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!